Welcome back to another episode of the Natty Teacher. I am, of course, your host. Who else but the Natty Teacher? And today, we got a leg day. Our leg A session is on the docket for the day. Pretty straightforward session, but I'll run you through it regardless. We're going to get into the gym. I'm going to spend a few minutes getting warmed up, nice and loosened up, get some blood flow going. I think I might actually hop on the treadmill for maybe somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes at a pretty steep incline, just kind of get the knees primed. My movement today at work was pretty limited, to be honest with you. So still kind of feeling a little stiff down there in the knees and all that kind of fun jazz. So probably hop on the treadmill for 5 to 10 minutes, get everything nice and loosened up. Oh, there goes my intro. Start sipping on the intra. I got a big old blender bottle, one of these bad boys, a 45 ouncer, because I noticed my intra workout was actually, I was finishing it like 2 exercises into my training, and it's just purely because I didn't have enough. I was only mixing it in with 26 to 30 ounces of water. So this at least adds, at least another half of one of those smaller blender bottles on top of a normal size blender bottle, if not even maybe a little bit more. So heck yeah, so that's cool. Adds some good space to mix it in a little bit more. So be able to use it for a little bit longer. But after that, after we're done on the treadmill, move on to just some basic mobility work, body weight stuff, kind of just getting everything nice and loosened up and ready to rock and roll. Getting those knees warmed up, getting them primed up. I usually will follow in some sort of squatting pattern, you know what I mean? Some sort of squatting pattern just to get some knee flexion going. Probably most likely just a body weight squat, something simple just to kind of get the knees going. Walking lunges is another great one as well. Just kind of getting everything stabilized and ready to rock and roll. And once you get that going, maybe a couple rounds of some body weight stuff. If you want to do some banded work, sure. Maybe some lighter weight stuff just to kind of get some blood flow in the legs and go from there, man. Nothing super crazy. After that, I'll move into a couple rounds of planks. So 2-minute long rounds of planks just to kind of get that core primed up, just for bracing purposes and what have you. And also it's just good to work the core a little bit extra. Ain't no problem with that. And then we'll move into our first exercise, which is lying hamstring curls. So we have 3 working sets of lying hamstring curls to get us going today. Today's rep range is just really kind of how I've been working lately. I keep today's rep ranges in that 8 to 12 rep range. So I will be looking for a top set that is close to 8 reps, maybe 10 reps or so if we're feeling real good. And then, following sets after that, we'll try to rep match or maybe drop the weight a little bit if we need to, if we're starting to dip well below that, 8 to 10 mark. But again, really the main goal would be to try to keep everything in between 8 to 12 reps or so. You know what I mean? So nothing below 8, but nothing more than 12 or so. And then after lying hamstring curls, we'll move into leg extensions. Okay. And then after leg extensions, which is 3 and 3 working sets of lying hamstring curls, 3 working sets of leg extensions. After leg extensions, that's when we will move into our close foot Smith squats. Yeah, that's the only thing is these bottles they're wider at the bottom, so they don't fit into my cup holder very well. So it's going to keep tumbling. Close foot Smith squats will be our 3rd exercise in. After that, we'll follow that up with some glute hypers, keeping the reps a little bit higher there. Really trying to work the glutes and hammies and all that, get a nice big stretch on the glutes and hammies. Really great exercise. I really enjoy it. And then to kind of close this out before we move into calves is adductor work, some direct adductor work. So let's run it through working sets wise. 3 working sets of lying hamstring curls, 3 working sets of leg extensions, 2 working sets of some close foot Smith squats, 2 working sets of glute hyperextensions, and 2 working sets of adductor. And then we'll move into calves, which today is 3 working sets of calves. So pretty straightforward, pretty simple, nothing super crazy, I'll tell you that. And very effective all the same. Very, very effective all the same. It is a great session that I truly enjoy. It's challenging, I'll tell you that. It is definitely challenging, but it is a very rewarding session for sure as well. So, yeah. But, anyways, yeah, man. So we're gonna get to the gym and go from there. So I'm behind a bus right now, so we're coming to a stop a little bit, but not a whole lot more. I could just keep yapping on about random stuff, but that's kind of about it. So I'm going to get in there, get warmed up. I finished my last meal too, just under a half hour ago. And it's a pretty big meal, my pre-workout meal. So I do want to, I don't put it this way. I don't rush through my warm up. You know what I mean? Because the last thing I want to do is get into a leg exercise and start feeling uncomfortable in the gut or something like that. Like that's not what we want to do. You want to feel nice and braced. You want to feel strong. You want that core to feel good. You want everything to feel digested. So luckily I don't start right with squats because that would kind of suck. Getting in there in first movement with a relatively full stomach is, some heavy squats or something like that. That would not be fun. So we ain't doing that. But anyways, top set of lying hamstring curls is what you'll see first, and that's coming at you right about now. All right, as promised, lying hamstring curls, peeps. I recommend, and this is just again, general blanket recommendation for 99.9% of the gym population. Start your leg days with hamstring curl. Some variation of I got the hiccups right now. Hamstring curl variation, there we go. Whether it be seated or lying, what have you. I only have access to lying leg curls, so I just start mine with lying. But I'm just saying, it is a big time plus to get those going. So again, I always start with 2 to 3 working sets. This one is 3 working sets here. And what I've been implementing lately is doing myo rep match sets. So basically, pick my top weight, do as many reps as possible with that for my first working set as like a straight set with very minimal rests or pauses. And other than like something like this right here where it's just kind of a brief reset, and then do 2 sets on top of that match those reps. So as many little mini breaks as you got to take to match those reps for 2 following sets. So that will absolutely fry your hamstrings. Then we got some seated leg extension here. Again, really trying to be a little bit more cautious of my knees. One thing that I've been finding super comfortable with leg extensions to kind of straighten out and align those knees. You don't have to do this, of course. Just for me, I feel like it takes a lot of tension off of my knees. Is I actually point my toes in towards each other. You can kind of see that they're not like a heavy point, but just kind of angled towards each other. So then like my actual toes themselves are pointed towards each other a little bit. Again, I did 3 working sets here. I will say in my next training block is going to be a total of 2 working sets, but they are also going to be myo rep match sets. So it'll be a top set and then essentially another set to match those reps with that top set, and then moving into our compound work. So so we did do 3 working sets here. Felt good. Felt strong. Leg extensions, I think, is one of those kind of slept on movements when done correctly. I'm really trying to hit the rectus femoris, so I'm leaning back pretty good here and really hitting that upper portion of the quad. Then, talk about quads, some close foot heel elevated Smith squats here. So you can see that I have the heel, elevators right next to each other. I'm actually going to be swapping this bad boy out in this upcoming training block for a just regular straight up Smith squat. Just as a heads up, I guess. You'll see another week of this because the one thing I noticed when looking back on this footage is it's not bad. But this exercise, if you've ever done it, especially with the close feet, with the toes pointed forward, it is absolutely brutal. It is one of the more humbling squatting variations I've probably ever done in my entire life. So it's one of those things where I want to play with the Smith machine a little bit now that I don't have like a hack squat machine readily available to me. I've been trying to mess with this a little bit and kind of mess with what I can do, and I definitely want to work with the Smith machine and get into a regular Smith squat. So you'll see in a couple weeks from now, a couple uploads, because I do have another week where I went a little bit lighter than this and was going a little bit deeper, kind of pacing things a little different, which again felt good. I just after running this for the past 5 weeks or so, I was like, I'd rather just run my Smith squats. I think my wife and daughter are upstairs playing. Anyways, but we did do 2 working sets here and went from there. Then some glute hypers. You will also see this exercise with a slight variation in my next training block. Essentially what I'm going to be doing is putting the pad that's up under my hips right now, or up under on kind of where my quads are. You'll see that will actually be closer to my waist, and we're essentially trying to bias the hamstrings just a little bit more with that. So we're trying to actually get a little bit more hamstring and a little, not less glute, but I guess in turn it will be a little bit less glute. So yeah, trying to make this more of like a hamstring biased movement, which you absolutely can do just with some simple tweaks. Right now, I'm definitely, you can see, if you watch, you can see I'm driving through with the glutes, which is great. But there is absolutely a way where you can hinge this and put a lot more tension on the hamstrings. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So you will see that tweak again in a couple weeks time from now, a couple more uploads to go from now. So, yeah, keep an eye out for that in the relatively near future. But this one, I do like to keep in the higher rep range. I would say that 10 to 15 rep range should be a minimum, or, I really do feel that. So that's just my opinion. So that's exactly what we did. Another great one you can use Myo Rep Match sets on. And then to end with some adductor work. Now, this is one where I feel like I see people going, unless you have really strong adductors, I do see people going a little bit, I think, heavier than they probably should. And that's not like necessarily a bad thing. But this one, I feel like you really got to milk that stretch, really control the weight on the way out, and then bring those paddles all the way together and get a good squeeze on those inner thighs and go from there. Again, this is not one of those movements, and it's one of the reasons that I either will put it towards the beginning of my workouts or towards the end. It is not one of those movements where, in my opinion at least, you got to be just like the kind of herk, jerk, grunt. Like, this is one that I really like to use to squeeze the crap out of my adductors, in those inner thighs. So you'll see here as I get into my later reps, like, you can definitely, tell that I'm getting to the point of, that pain and trying to push through that for sure. But it is, it's one of those things where, again, I like to keep the reps medium high, 8 to 12 or so. We did 2 working sets here. Then, of course, we did our calves, maybe even 8 to 15. See you in the outro. Leg A session complete. Woo! Put it this way, you gotta love it, but dang, you also, it's one of them things where I gotta admit, man, I love when you're in it, because that just that adrenaline and that just like, you gotta put into a good hard leg workout. But dang, man, it ain't a bad thing when you get done with that bad boy either, I'll tell you what. Dude, I'll tell you, one of the best things about recording your workouts, and it can be, at first it might feel a little embarrassing, a little weird, especially if you're like newer to the gym, and on top of that, you're like recording your workouts. Look, you got to drop the, thinking about what other people think kind of a mindset, and more focused on the progress that you want to make. One of the best things that has come from me recording myself for my YouTube channel, I mean, obviously that is kind of my excuse, but at the same time, I'm going to be honest, man, I also record myself to see how my technique is, how my form is, what my tempo looks like, all the factors that really, really make an exercise great. Because sometimes you're in a set and you'll get that last rep out and you think you ain't got more in the tank, and then you watch the film back and you're like, oh, that rep actually went really fast. Probably had one more. Or vice versa, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things where, again, recording yourself for a variety of reasons is awesome. It was like the proof in the pudding for today was my close foot Smith squats. Not they weren't bad at all, not bad at all. My top set wasn't bad at all. Those close foot, man, those things are lethal. I'll tell you what, where you got the like feet close, toes pointed forward and elevated. Oh my Lord. And I think it's elevated probably somewhere between 20 and 30 degrees. So it's not a huge elevation, but it's decent. And man, I'll tell you, that is lethal on the quads. But here's what I noticed. I noticed in my top set, the one that is recorded, in this video, that I was driving a little bit more than I would have liked to with my glutes. And so it was simple. I saw that I was doing that, and I'm like, okay, let me kind of reframe this a little bit. Let me, kind of finagle a few things around, and let's make a few adjustments. Sure enough, it was simple. All I was not doing was keeping my head and chest not only up but forward enough. And so I made that slight tweak, knocked out a great set as my second set, where I could feel I wasn't driving through the glutes as much, felt it a lot more in the quads. Just a simple thing, just a simple adjustment of, using more, lifting, my head and chest up a little bit more, not, being so caved in and shooting the glutes back. That was it. It was a simple adjustment, but I got so much more out of it, and I knew that purely because I recorded it. Simple thing. You know what I mean? So again, I highly recommend it every once in a while, at least, or if there's an exercise that you maybe like, you're not 100% sure how your technique looks or feels, then I would absolutely 1000% recommend recording yourself. There's no shame in that, especially if you're using it for a tool to be, better. Now, obviously, if somebody walks in your camera lens, you also don't have the right to like freak out on them. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. It's a public gym. People need to move how they need to move. They need to, go about their days as well. It ain't about you. So please keep that in mind, where it's like, somebody steps in front of your camera, Put it this way, so what? You got to take it with a grain of salt, man. Can't take it personally. So you got to just move on. But regardless, little mini rant there, but I would highly recommend it. It has helped me a ton. And, you don't have to have a YouTube channel to record yourself in the gym. Put it that way. So, anyways. Other than that, no, great session, man. Great session. With my leg extensions, I'm very glad I did this too, because I could tell my knees after last week were like just butchered. And so I'm like, okay, well, let's make a few adjustments and really see if we can't connect with the quads a little bit more on our exercise today. So I dropped my leg extension weight only by about 25 pounds and still was keeping it within the same rep range as last week. But a little bit more of a hold, pointing the toes slightly more in towards each other. So we're kind of rotating those knees, kind of internally rotating those knees a little bit so they're a little bit straighter rather than flared out. And it felt 1,000 times better, 1,000 times better. So I was very happy with that. Definitely will continue to do that. And it goes from there. So, excuse me. But yeah, man, phenomenal session. Again, just one of those sessions where like I'm in the gym right now. It's just like the only way I can like put it is it's just like it's like almost like a euphoric relief. You know what I mean? Where you get that like adrenaline rush, and then you like kind of come down, and it's like you almost feel like high a little bit, where you just feel like real solid after a good hard leg work. You just feel good, feel very accomplished. Upper body sessions, same thing, but with legs especially, just because of like the brutality of them. There is that sense of like relief when you're done. It's like, we did it. We did what we needed to do. Let's go rest. You know what I mean? So, only thing not recorded, again, per usual, guys, because it is boring. I wouldn't want to watch it either. I did do 3 working sets of some machine toe press for the calves, and that was it. That was how I ended that. So great session overall. Definitely feeling stronger and stronger, feeling good. Excuse me. Just getting to that point now where I don't know. I'm feeling good. I feel like I'm in kind of a sweet spot, kind of a flow state. Sweet spot with my training and all that, where everything's just kind of like it's going how I'd want it to go. Put it that way. But yeah. So I'm gonna go home and eat. I gotta make a little bit of food real quick, and then I'm gonna eat and just kind of chill out at that point, man. The nice thing is tomorrow, 2 things. That's like a double whammy of awesomeness. Tomorrow, I have a half day at work, which is really cool, and also it's a rest day. So that's like doubly cool. And then Friday, I also have half day at work. So it's kind of like a win-win the next couple days. I already got all my exams written, so I just gotta have my students take those in the morning. And then we're out of there at 11 a.m. So that's cool. Just kind of a big plus to. Oh, come on, man! You gotta go around them, buddy. What are you doing? What are you doing? Hey, whoa. It's all right. People driving like crazy son of the guns. Anyways, yeah, so nice couple of days, and it's a 3-day weekend because we got Martin Luther King Day on Monday, so we have that day off from school, work, both for me logically, and then apparently next week here in Michigan, next like Tuesday and Wednesday, the wind chill is supposed to bring the outdoor temperature in the mornings down to like negative 25, apparently. So it is supposed to be frigid cold, which at that point, obviously, if we're talking about in the negative 20s, as far as like the real feel or wind chill or what have you, we ain't gonna be having school. So that would be, I might be able to get an extended long weekend next week, which would be awesome, and no doubt. So other than that, man, hey, next workout after this one, after a rest day 2, is my second push day of the week, push B. You gotta love it. That'll be a lot of fun. Excited for that one already. And yeah, so push B on the docket next up after this, a couple days from now. But in the meantime, make sure, guys, you hit that subscribe button, subscribe to the channel, like and share this video. That would be awesome. Drop any comments, questions, or feedback you got down in the comments section below. That would be awesome, much appreciated. I will absolutely get back to you on those comments for sure. As soon as I see them, I'll respond to them. I promise. I always make time to get back to anybody who leaves a comment or question or anything like that. So I really pride myself on trying to be like quick with response times when I see them, at least. So yeah, man. Hey, first and foremost, most importantly, God bless, guys. And for today, I'm the Natty teacher, and for myself and the whole Natty family, this episode of Road to Natty Pro is out. I'll catch y'all on the next one.